Hey y'all, sorry that I was gone to the void for so long, but if it helps, I brought back a souvenir. Can you give me purse? Okay, my good girl. Oh, welcome back, everyone. This is my show and also now Junebug's show because she's our favorite little guest. She's my favorite guest in the world. This is Junebug, and I love her more than life itself. So if you hear noises in the background, that's her playing with her many toys around my bedroom. Alright, first step of today's video is going to be gathering our supplies. Pretty much any spell DIY type of video that I give is going to be fairly customizable, and that especially applies to money bowls. Key aspect of this is using what you have. That's probably the reason that you're doing a money bowl, is because you're working with limited options, so use what you have. That is a key principle of this. That being said, here is a rough idea of kind of what I'm doing for mine. First things first, a bowl. Mine's green, yours doesn't have to be green. I just liked the associations with this one. You don't have to, go out and get a new bowl. You can use any bowl that you've got at your disposal in your house. Hell, you could probably use a paper bowl if you wanted to. I got mine at the thrift store for very cheap because, I like thrifting. But yeah, so this is what I'm going to be using for mine. Again, yours doesn't have to be exactly like this. You could use a random dish that you've got in your house. You could probably use a teacup if you wanted to. This is just what I'm using for mine. Second thing you're going to need, the herbs, stones, and oils of your choice. This is the box that I'm keeping all of my stuff in for filming this video because I've got everything just kind of hanging out next to me as I do this process. Uh, I'm not going to say exactly the exact of everything that I'm using in mine just because it's kind of a part of my practice that I don't share every single detail of any spell that I do. Um, but I can give you some general ideas and some general pointers. For example, basil has general associations with wealth and prosperity, so that's a good thing to use. Cinnamon sticks, another very common item. Cinnamon sticks are probably going to be a little bit better than cinnamon powder if you say, I have a small furry critter that's currently trying to fight my laundry. Please don't hit my laptop with my script on it. Please, baby. Here, cool. Play with your spring toy. But yeah, so basil and things like that, very good options. This is bay leaves. That's not basil that I picked up, but bay leaves are another very good option, and probably something that I'm going to be using. In the categories of stones, pyrite, very good option to be using for this. It looks like gold associated with gold and wealth. So very good options. There's a lot of things that are associated with money because this is a pretty common spell that people do. This is something that's been born out of necessity for generations. You have a lot of options with this. Don't feel limited. You can also be very basic in a lot of practices. Olive oil is just a pretty all over thing that you can use for just about anything. Don't let anyone tell you differently. If that's part of your practice and part of your tradition, olive oil. It's a cure all. We love cure alls in this house. Cure alls are great. Alrighty, next step on this, and something else that should be pretty accessible to a large majority of people. Piece of paper, write your intention down. That can take a lot of different forms. It could be literally writing down the intent of the spell, it could be writing down a sigil, it could be doing both. I'm opting for both. But to each their own, again, very customizable. Just be careful about the way that you word it. You don't want this to backfire because of weird wording. For example, you could add in a stipulation like with harm to none, because if you ask for money and you don't specify, you could end up with a dead relative and inheritance. I'm not speaking from experience, I've just heard a lot of stories. But yeah, also say the written intent part is a pretty personalized thing. If you're struggling, you can look up some different examples of things that other people have used, customize it how you want, or just use a pre-written one if you really want to. Whatever works. And our final very key ingredient to this money bowl, we're putting the money in the money bowl. So change. This could be coins, such as the one that I just dropped. It could be small bills. It could be a used Visa gift card. Pretty much whatever you've got on hand, whatever you're willing to contribute to the bowl. In general, I have heard that using bills can work better than just using coins. But again, if you can't spare the bills, it's a money bowl that you work it with what you've got. Work it with what you can use. I would not recommend using Monopoly money, though. It might not work as effectively. I don't know, something about fake money makes it feel a little bit, but that's just a me thing. That's my own unverified personal gnosis. Whatever you want to use works. I don't want to try and like create a barrier here that's unnecessarily. That's just a my vibes thing. Whatever works. If you feel more comfortable using that, do it. Go for it. Do whatever you want forever, except for appropriation. I need to stop rambling. Now the final item is pretty much just an optional thing. This is mostly just, I'm putting this at the end as like an optional. Add something that you personally associate with wealth. That could be something that represents a spirit or a deity that you work with or worship who has associations with money and wealth. It could be some kind of personal item. It could be a piece of jewelry that you associate with wealth and luxury. Pretty much just an optional. Add something extra if you feel like adding something extra. If you don't, that's cool too. Pretty much just another optional customize it to your own personal needs thing. Alrighty, now that we have our materials gathered, we're gonna do another important step. If I avoid dropping my bowl, we're gonna cleanse the bowl. I use sound cleansing for a lot of things, or sprays, but mostly sound, especially considering, small creature. And a lot of my cleansing options have lavender in them, so that's not good for pets. Don't spray lavender around your pets. Bad idea. It's not good for them. But I use sound cleansing because I am in a dorm setting, so I cannot use smoke cleansing because campus public safety would immediately come find me. They'd know. They would know, or I would set off the smoke detector, and nobody in my building wants that. So we use sound cleansing in this specific space. I've also done a literal cleansing of this bowl, because again, I did get it from a thrift store. We don't really know where it's been. I'm not saying that everything from thrift stores is dirty. I'm not trying to be like weird about it. It's a good idea, because there are strange people in the world. I don't know who owned this before me, so I gave it a good wipe down with a Clorox wipe. But, in general, it's a good idea to do a physical cleansing if it's something that you've gotten used. And then the spiritual cleansing is also good, especially if you've used it in a spell previously, or again, if you got it from a thrift store, because you don't know where it came from. You don't know what it was used for before. So giving it a good spiritual cleansing is a good idea. Giving it a good literal cleansing is also a very good idea, depending on where you got it from. If it's one that you just pulled out clean from your cupboard, you could probably still give it a good cleansing spiritually, and that's probably still a good idea. You can probably skip the physical cleansing at that point, or if it's like a paper bowl. But this is my good prep step, is cleanse the bowl. Cleanse the bowl. Alright, we've got our cleansed bowl. We've got my temporary space for filming purposes, because I don't really have a good setup to do a spell in this space and film it properly. So we've got our little makeshift altar. This dish is also just the thing that I tend to use because underneath this black piece of fabric and this selenite wand, we have a fireproof metal dish. I love having a good fireproof metal dish. I got it for like $3 during Halloween at one point at a store. And I went, haha, I can use this. And considering my sister was the only person with me, she was like, hell yeah, you can, do it. So yeah, fireproof dish. I don't need fireproofness for this, but it's what I like doing spells in, especially when I'm traveling or if I'm in a good space that like doesn't have a good setup for doing a spell. So we've got our dish. Now comes the fairly easy part, which is putting all of your shenanigans into the bowl. Just put it all in the bowl. Don't worry too much about how it's going in there, because it will get moved around here before too long. Just put it all in there. Alrighty, everything's all in there. We got everything in the bowl. I almost just spilled everything out of the bowl, but everything's in the bowl. Now, we're going to kind of swish this around clockwise to draw in our intention. It's important that you think about what you're going for here. Maybe think about the intent that you wrote down on the paper. Maybe if you've got a spell that you want to say out loud, you can do that. Again, this is a very personalized step. I'm not going to record exactly what I do and say for this, but just swish it around clockwise. Think real hard about it. Think about what you're wanting this to do. But yeah, that's the Money Bowl video. If you are interested in more content like this, you could totally subscribe. I'm not making any promises about a more frequent upload schedule, but I'm hoping that I will have more time for it. No promises though, because every time that I do that, I seem to end up with the world's busiest life, and I'm trying to not give myself any more canon events. Can I help you, Junebug? What are you doing, crazy girl? She has a spring toy she really likes, and she just pushed it under my leg. You crazy thing. I love her though. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Good luck with your own money bowls. I hope they go well if you are planning on making one yourself. And have a good rest of your week. Blessed be.